In part 3, we are going to discuss the dentino-enamel junction and all the features that we can see on the dentino-enamel junctions. These are the spindles, the tufts, and the lamella. As you can see here, this is the dentino-enamel junction that separates the dentine from the enamel. If we make histological sections at this junction in appropriate magnification, we are going to see it as follows. As you can see here, this is the dentine. You're not familiar with the dentine under the microscope right now. After we finish this course, you will be able to identify different tissues from recognizing the building blocks of the structures. But here, you are going to be familiar now with the enamel. This is the enamel. It's on the surface. First of all, it's on the surface, so it's covering the tooth. It has to be enamel or cementum, but the thickness tells you it's enamel. The building blocks tells you it's enamel. Now, maybe it's hard for you to recognize. With time and some experience, you'll be able to recognize it. So, this is enamel, and this is dentine, and here is the dentino-enamel junction. We discussed in the theory lecture that dentino-enamel junction is straight in lateral surfaces and in places where there is a lot of compressive forces, unlike under cusps where it's scalloped, and we're gonna see this in a second. So as you can see, there's features, there's strange things that can be seen resting on the dentino-enamel junction. So what are these? Do you remember? What are these from the lecture? Try to remember. The lamella, the tuft, and the spindle. We're gonna discuss them now in detail. In the cuspal area, as you can see, the dentino-enamel junction is scalloped. This scalloping helps the enamel to attach very well to the dentine, so it can withstand the compressive forces of mastication. Spindles, as you can see in these slides, spindles are really small, thin structures and very short, seen in the enamel. They don't actually go with the prism's direction, and they don't actually seem as a component of the enamel. Why is that? Because spindles actually are dentinal tubules. You will learn about them next week. Dentinal tubules coming out of the dentine into the enamel, and they just get stuck during the enamel and dentine secretion. You will learn next week that dentine is composed of something called building block called dentinal tubules. These tubules has a lot of components inside them, but we will talk about them next time. Anyway, these dentinal tubules, sometimes the end of them are stuck inside the enamel. They are short, small, looking like the tissue underneath and not like the enamel. These are spindles. As you can see, the tubule come from the dentine and go out into the enamel. These are spindles. Another photo showing us the spindles coming out of the dentino-enamel junction into the enamel. Again and again, these are spindles. Can you see how wavy is the enamel here? And we said that wavy enamel in small spaces is called gnarled enamel. Remember that. The next phenomena we're gonna see, or structure we're gonna see on the dentino-enamel junction, is these grass-like structures. They have the same color and structure and shape of enamel. They are, of course, taller than the spindles, and they don't look like dentine. They are really similar to enamel. These are called tufts, which is an expression that explains something that looks like grass. These are hypomineralized areas found in enamel and actually on the dentino-enamel junction. In this picture, you can see the difference between the spindle, the small spindle, and the tufts, which are longer and more wavy and goes with the course of the enamel. If these tufts are really tall, almost coming to the surface of enamel, these are not called tufts anymore. They are lamellae. Lamellae. The plural of lamella is lamellae. Lamella is a hypomineralized areas in the enamel, but they are taller. Sometimes they went to the surface of the enamel. Don't think these are cracks in the tooth. Anyway, in the lab, if they want to know if this is a lamella or a crack, they demineralize the section, and the crack will look as a white line. So these are mostly, I think this is a lamella, but the other ones are tufts. To be sure, we have to see the surface of the enamel. In circle sections, as you can see, this is the dentino-enamel junction and the enamel. And we can see here a lamella, and tufts can be also seen. They are really, really small but visible. But we can't in any way see the spindles because this is really a low magnification. This is of course a lamella because it reaches the surface of the enamel. These lines we see here, we're gonna discuss in part 4. So see you in part 4.